they were continuing to read the Pilgrim's Progress. Well, the time grew on that the pilgrims must go on their way, wherefore they prepared for their journey. They sent for their friends, they talked with them, they had some time set apart therein to commit each other to the protection of their prince. There were again that brought them of such things as they had that were fit for the weak and the strong, for the women and the men, and so laded them with such things as were necessary. Then they set forward on their way, and their friends accompanying them so far as was convenient, they again committed each other to the protection of their king, and parted. They therefore that were of the pilgrims' company went on, and Mr. Greatheart went before them. Now the women and children being weakly, they were forced to go as they could bear, by which means Mr. Ready to Halt and Mr. Feeble Mind had more to sympathize with their condition. When they were gone from the townsmen, and when their friends had bid them farewell, they quickly came to the place where Faithful was put to death. There therefore they made a stand, and thanked him that had enabled him to bear his cross so well, and the rather because they now found that they had a benefit by such manly suffering as his was. They went on therefore after this a good way farther, talking of Christian and Faithful, and how Helpful joined himself to Christian after that Faithful was dead. Now they were come up with the hill Lucre, where the silver mine was which took Demas off from his pilgrimage, and into which, as some think, Bians fell and perished. Wherefore they considered that. But when they were come to the old monument that stood over against the hill Lucre, to wit, the pillar of salt, that stood also within view of Sodom and its stinking lake, they marveled, as did Christian before, that men of that knowledge and ripeness of wit as they were should be so blind as to turn aside here. Chapter 8. The Delectable Mountains and the Shepherds. I saw now that they went on till they came at the river that was on this side of the Delectable Mountains, to the river where the fine trees grow on both sides, and whose leaves, if taken inwardly, are good against sickness, where the meadows are green all the year long, and where they might lie down safely. By this riverside, in the meadow, there were cotes and folds for sheep, a house built for the nourishing and bringing up of those lambs, the babes of those women that go on pilgrimage. Also there was here one that was entrusted with them, who could have pity, and that could gather these lambs with his arm, and carry them in his bosom, and that could gently lead those that were with young. Now to the care of this man Christiana admonished her 4 daughters to commit their little ones, that by these waters they might be housed, cared for, helped, and nourished, and that none of them might be lacking in time to come. This man, if any of them go astray or be lost, he will bring them back again. He will also bind up that which was broken, and will strengthen them that are sick. Here they will never want food and drink and clothing. Here they will be kept from thieves and robbers, for this man will die before one of those committed to his trust shall be lost. Besides, here they shall be sure to have good nurture and training, and shall be taught to walk in right paths. And that, you know, is a favor of no small account. Also here, as you see, are delicate waters, pleasant meadows, dainty flowers, variety of trees, and such as bear wholesome fruit, fruit not like that Matthew ate of, that fell over the wall out of Beelzebub's garden, but fruit that giveth health where there is none, and that continueth and increaseth it where it is. So they were content to commit their little ones to him, and that which was also an encouragement to them so to do was, for that all this was to be at the charge of the king, and so was as an hospital for young children and orphans. Now they went on, and when they were come to Bypath Meadow, to the stile over which Christian went with his fellow hopeful, when they were taken by giant despair and put into Doubting Castle, they sat down and consulted what was best to be done. To wit, now they were so strong, and had got such a man as Mr. Greatheart for their conductor, whether they had not best make an attempt upon the giant, demolish his castle, and, if there were any pilgrims in it, to set them at liberty before they went any further. So one said one thing, and another said the contrary. One questioned if it were lawful to go upon ground that was not the king's. Another said they might, providing their end was good. But Mr. Greatheart said, though that reason given last cannot be always true, yet I have a commandment to resist sin, to overcome evil, to fight the good fight of faith. And I pray, with whom should I fight this good fight, if not with giant despair? I will therefore attempt the taking away of his life and the demolishing of Doubting Castle. Then said he, who will go with me? Then said old Honest, I will. And so will we too, said Christiana's 4 sons, Matthew, Samuel, Joseph, and James, for they were young men and strong. So they left the women in the road, and with them Mr. Feeble-mind and Mr. Ready to Halt, with his crutches, to be their guard until they came back. For in that place, though giant despair dwelt so near, they keeping in the road, a little child might lead them. So Mr. Greatheart, Old Honest, and the 4 young men went to go up to Doubting Castle to look for giant despair. When they came at the castle gate, they knocked for entrance with an unusual noise. At that, the old giant comes to the gate, and Diffidence, his wife, follows. Then said he, who and what is he that is so hardy as after this manner to disturb the giant despair? Mr. Greatheart replied, it is I, Greatheart, one of the king of the celestial countries, conductors of pilgrims to their place. And I demand of thee that thou open thy gates for my entrance. Prepare thyself also to fight, for I am come to take away thy head, and to demolish Doubting Castle. Now giant despair, because he was a giant, thought no man could overcome him. And again thought he, since heretofore I have made a conquest of angels, shall a Greatheart make me afraid? So he harnessed himself with his armor, and went out. He had a cap of steel upon his head, a breastplate of fire girded to him, and he came out in iron shoes, with a great club in his hand. Then these 6 men made up to him, and beset him behind and before. Also when Diffidence, the giantess, came up to help him, old Mr. Honest cut her down at one blow. Then they fought for their lives, and giant Despair was brought down to the ground, but was very loath to die. He struggled hard, and had, as they say, as many lives as a cat. But Greatheart was his death, for he left him not till he had severed his head from his shoulders. Then they fell to demolishing Doubting Castle, and that, you know, might with ease be done, since giant Despair was dead. They were 7 days in destroying of that, and in it of pilgrims. They found one Mr. Despondency, almost starved to death, and one much afraid, his daughter. These 2 they saved alive, but it would have made you wonder to have seen the dead bodies that lay here and there in the castle yard, and how full of dead men's bones the dungeon was. and that's the end of the reading for today. Have a good day.